have to say, this I thought was an absolutely fascinating story yesterday on Politico about the huge cost of looking after our former prime ministers. No, not just their budgets for their offices. A lot of them are making 6- and 7-figure salaries, whether it's memoirs, whether it's book tours, whether it's speaking arrangements on the other side of the planet. Many of them are raking in huge sums of money. Yes, I'm thinking of you, Tony Blair, Boris Johnson, Theresa May, and even in the latest register of interest, Liz Truss. But we now currently, for the first time in modern history, have 7 living former prime ministers, all of whom continue to need very extensive and very expensive security protection. Well, let's talk to Dai Davies. He's the former head of Royal Protection and joins us now. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. Now, the Royal Protection officers often, work as well with VIPs, people in government, a lot of the same training. And we are not just talking about, another copper. We are talking about highly trained police officers, weapons trained, very senior figures, go through an awful lot of training in terms of, the driving skills, you name it. And you need quite a lot of them to guard a former Prime Minister 24/7, 365 days of the year. And we've got 7 of them to contend with. How's that working out? Are there enough people trained to do that job in the country?
Well, good morning again. Yes, well, you're quite right. And I was asked by Politico for my opinion, and I gave it. Some of them, as you rightly say, are earning huge amounts of money. And it doesn't seem right to me that if they are on the back of the rest of us, now getting full-time security costing hundreds of thousands over a year, that they shouldn't be contributing. I'd like to ask that question. People like Tony Blair, Mrs. May, who devastated the police force, in my opinion, they're now reeking in the benefits of their misguided as politicians, and yet we're paying. And they all go off into the sunset, leaving us with the unholy mess some of us think we're in at the moment.
Well, the thing is that I want our politicians to get protections, no question at all about that. But often when they're going off on these speaking tours, I mean, Tony Blair, you do like 5 countries in 5 days. We had Liz Truss heading off to Taiwan. We got Boris Johnson off to America. Everyone's just off everywhere. They go on these speaking tours. They're paid, 100 grand up, or even more for each speech. But of course, they take a whole list of dignity, of security people with them. We need to pay for their flights. They're not sitting in economy on Ryanair, are they? Got their flights, got their hotels, got all their travel, all of that. And you need a huge number of them because, of course, they can't work 24 hours. It's a huge cost on the country. We're talking millions in total, aren't we?
Oh, we must be. And when you say travelling with them, they actually go out with 4 to reconnaissance, carry out reconnaissance. They don't stay in 2-star hotels, I can assure you. And then they have to spend time there. That costs a huge amount of money. They're afforded allowances when they're away. I have no objection to them being protected, although the effectiveness sometimes I question, particularly in certain places they're going. But it's also the cost. The British Embassy there has to coordinate it. All of this costs money. I have no problem with them having protection, but they should pay a fair amount for a huge amount.
A sort of contribution to it.
7.
Dai Davies, great to talk to you. Time is against us, unfortunately. Former head of Royal Protection. Thank you for that. I just thought it was fascinating. 7 former prime ministers were having to pay for the protection of.